Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about stress. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, "Hi Frederick, thanks for the video. I have a kinda long and related question. It would mean a lot to me if you could give me some guidance on it. What can I do to improve this extremely stressful situation as a junior? On my new job, there is a 4-year-old project that has been finished that has to be finished very fast. The problem domain is very complex, and none of the programmers really understand the whole thing. The problem domain expert is so busy that I never got an introduction about the project from him. Also, the code has terrible quality, but the most stressful part is the lack of guidance. The tech team lead is not very familiar with the project, and one developer which acts like the tech lead seemed to have low emotional intelligence. I tried asking him for advice twice and always felt more stressed out than before. I'm not sure if I'm too sensitive or he is too confrontational or both. Furthermore, I have an upcoming feedback meeting with the team tech lead because it has now been 2 months since I started. What should I tell him? Well, this is the part that's is it that they say in all of those clickbait videos? This is what they don't want you to know. And I suppose that this is my version of this. So what they don't want you to know usually, guys, is that you are extraordinarily lucky, I would say, as a junior software developer. And I've also tried to preach for this, guys, that it's really important to remember that having the right job makes all the difference here versus just having any job, because usually, guys, you have to understand that IT companies are they're hilariously ineffective at structuring a work process that works well enough for a junior to feel fully comfortable. This is trust me, guys, when I say this, one of the biggest red flags that you can have is that a company only hires seniors, for example. They might do that out of policy or in like preferences or prejudices and so forth, but in many cases, guys, it is because that is the only person who could survive in that mess. I swear to you guys, everybody would be hiring juniors if it was feasible for them, because that basically means if you got the same output and you could hire a junior, you would, because they are cheaper. But the problem is that you need, usually, like, there's so many dumpster fires within the company that you need senior software developers to fix the mess. And you might find yourself, and this sounds what's happened here, you are probably in that exact situation. And what is key to understand here, guys, is that when a company hires an individual, it's not necessarily the case that they are hiring the right person for the job. I have myself been in a situation like very similar to this, where I was a junior software developer, but the company who hired me actually needed someone with more years of experience to survive in that environment. They just didn't know it, didn't care. Like, pick your poison here. There is a mismatch basically between what you are and what they need. And that is not your fault, guys. I always tell people the same thing especially when they talk about deadlines and being stressed or delivering on time and stuff like that. I usually tell them, guys, you cannot just magically become a super software developer and just make things move a lot faster just because you need to. The time it takes you to get good stands in proportion to one part, of course, talent and things like that, but it also stands in proportion to how long and how hard you're pushing yourself during the time that you're usually learning the ropes of everything. Because speed is usually correlated to how well you know your stuff. How good are you at what you do? And as a junior software developer, you're just starting out, so of course it's going to be hard for you to meet requirements that are basically put on you. That goes even for seniors, guys. Even for senior software developers, it's the same thing. As I've said before, guys, software development is very much like strength training. You can use very light weights within IT for a very long time and quote unquote get the years of a senior. But if I ever put you on the same pace as the people that we call seniors in a certain company, you might be completely out of your depth here, because the requirements on them is much higher than what you are used to. You can get to those sorts of levels. It's just that, as I said, it's exactly like strength training. You can't just magically become very muscular. You have to actually put in some time. So what I wrote back here, and I basically tried to explain, is that it's natural for you to feel stressed, especially as a software developer, because if you're in an environment where, as I said, most of the things that are around you, you sort of have to figure out by yourself. Some guys, even some senior software developers can't do this. I am one of the people that I know who has like a sort of, I've been in so many dumpster fire types of situations, guys, that I sort of just know, okay, I know that this and this and this is going to be missing. And I know that usually this person or that person, like I can go on my own scavenging hunt, because I've been doing so many scavenging hunts by this time that it's not a problem for me anymore. I feel comfortable. But the reason why I feel comfortable, remember that, guys, is because I've done it 100 times before. And you might be doing it for the first time. So understand that you're in one of those social situations where all you can really do here is breathe. And the thing that I suggest that you do in your interview now with your, and this is going to help you regardless of if you're dealing with a manager who is high emotional intelligence, low emotional intelligence, or anything like that, is to basically try your best to explain the areas that are unclear to you. Be very specific about things that confuse you, because regardless of if they have high or low emotional intelligence, if you're specific about what confuses you within the space of your domain, that's something they can do something with. If you say that you're unclear about the scheduling or like the product line or whatever have you, that is something concrete that they can help you understand. They can give you a person who actually take the time to explain that information to you. You might not understand the explanation, but at the very least you gave them something very concrete they can work with. One of the worst things you can do when you're dealing with personal improvement types of things is to be very vague, because then you sort of leave it into interpretation what your manager needs to do in order to help you. But as I said, try to be specific here about what is confusing to you, and try to breathe a little bit and understand that you might just be finding yourself in a situation where, well, you may or may not be the right person for this job, and all you can really do is try your best and understand that regardless of if you have a good or bad work situation, you are still learning and evolving as long as you're trying to do your best within the coding and the environment that you find yourself. So what I want you to take away from this is that if you find yourself in such a situation where you don't really have any help or so forth and so forth as a junior developer, understand that this is normal, guys. I'm sorry that it is normal, but it is very, very normal. And the main reason being because IT companies, guys, they completely depend on the staff, usually, like the actual software developers, to bridge all the incompetency within the organization. You basically have no knowledge whatsoever within coding or anything that has to do with structuring a successful IT project above the coders. I swear to you, most developers work in a company where literally the reason why, and I honestly, I think that this has a little bit, I think that this is actually a little bit true. I argue that the idea that, you should be autonomous and you should let the developers do whatever they do, has more to do that people have realized that they're incompetent. Like, it used to be that you were led top down, and they realize that that doesn't work because they don't know anything, and so now they just go, you can do whatever you want because you still don't know anything above the coder level. So it's better for you to let the coders do whatever they want. The problem is, as I said, when you let people do whatever they want, you're not leading. You're basically creating a structured anarchy where whoever has the most say, or as I like to call it, the expert democracy decides what happens, and you basically lose all control over consistency and all these other things that happens with leadership. And if you're in that situation, you should know that this is super, super normal, and it probably never goes away. I still get into that situation. Even today, guys, I get into that situation. If I go to a new job, I can just immediately know that there's not going to be usually any documentation. I'm usually going to have to hunt for the people who have like basic access rights to the systems that I need, etc., etc. this is the life. I swear to you that it is the life. So try to breathe, try to understand that you can't magically just become better than you are, but what you can do is to just go through it. I like to say to my friends, sometimes you're in a situation where it's very similar to being in the trenches in, when you're doing like a obstacle course or something like that. You're in the mud and sort of elbowing your way forward. There's no pleasant way to do this. Just do it. And then secondly, make sure that you're specific about the things that confuse you to your lead or so forth and so forth, because regardless of who they are, if you're concrete about the things you would like to be clarified, at the very least that helps them to help you. You might not always get a good answer, but it's the best you can do usually. Have a great day.